And thanks to you at home for staying with us for the next hour. Oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Did you hear? Did you hear? Get this, 1/10 of the entire United States Navy and $200 million a day is what it's going to take to send Barack Obama on a trip to India. I know. Did you hear about this? Taxpayers are spending $200 million a day, and the U.S. Navy is providing 34 warships just to send Barack Obama to India. Did you hear about this? No, really, did you hear it? I totally heard about this.
Just within a day or so, the President of the United States will be taking a trip over to India that is expected to cost the taxpayers $200 million a day. He's taking 2,000 people with him. He'll be renting out over 870 rooms in India, and these are five-star hotel rooms at the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel.
No one really knows the cost because for security reasons, they don't disclose the cost. So this idea that it's, $200 million, whatever, is simply made up.
Well, these are the numbers that have been coming out in the press.
Now, that is actually true. That last thing she said there about how these numbers have been coming out in the press, that is true. Those numbers have, in fact, been coming out in the press in a very, very specific part of the press.
$200 million a day, 3,000 people. He needs the whole Taj Mahal hotel.
That's actually reported. I mean, it seems like that.
No. It's $2 billion.
Yeah.
We have 34 warships. Have you seen this? 507 rooms at Taj Mahal, 40 airplanes, $200 million a day. This nation will spend on Obama's trip to India.
What's Obama about to do? Go on a trip to India that will cost $200 million. That's $200 million per day. I will tell you, unequivocally, this has been reported. Go to the internet, go take a look. I'm not making this up. The show's not making this up.
Go to the internet. I'm not making this up. This stuff is on the internet. It's true on the internet. You want to know what else is true on the internet? Canned unicorn meat with sparkles. You want to know what else is true on the internet?
And zoom in a little bit and a little bit closer. What does that look like to you? Those are the bites of a vampire. Rachel Maddow is a vampire. We are letting a lesbian vampire comment on America.
I love that guy. Sometimes what you learn about on the internet, sometimes when you learn about what people think is true on the internet, you learn about it in weird ways. For example, at some point recently, somebody started screaming at me in all caps on Twitter, "Why don't you ask Obama why Muslims are exempt from Obamacare?" Now, your immediate natural response to that is, oh, this is very sad. This is a crazy person who thinks that Muslims are exempt from health reform. This is sad that this crazy person is crazy and thinks that. But at least all they're doing is yelling at me about it in all caps on the internet. Turns out it is more than just one crazy person on the internet. If you go on Google right now, I know this from experience. If you go to Google and you try to search for articles about this allegation, Muslims exempt from Obamacare, to see if other people believe this crazy thing, you only get as far as typing in Muslims before Muslims exempt from Obamacare pops right up. It is not true, of course, but people believe this stuff. There is a lot of stuff on the internet. Stuff being on the internet is not a guarantee that it is true. And this has been true, and this has been an issue as long as there has been an internet and a rumor mill before that. But today, we have an alternate self-contained right-wing media universe, the right-wing websites and talk radio and the right-wing TV network. And in that alternate self-contained right-wing media universe, this stuff is not just repeated as if it is fact, it is made into de facto fact. In the alternate self-contained right-wing media universe, this whole we're spending $200 million a day to send Barack Obama to India thing is true because they've confirmed it for each other. They looked it up on the internet and it's totally there. Their friend said it right alongside the unicorn meat.
I will take the liberty this time of dismissing as absolutely absurd this notion that somehow we were deploying 10% of the Navy, some 34 ships and an aircraft carrier in support of the president's trip to Asia. That's just comical. nothing close to that is being done.
It is not, in fact, true that it is costing American taxpayers $200 million a day to send the president to India, nor is it true that 1/10 of the Navy is being dispatched to take him there. It is not true. But the fact that it's not true doesn't matter anymore. I mean, there have always been myths and lies around American politics, but there used to be a process of debunking those things, and then they would more or less go away, give or take the fringe, give or take protocols of the Elders of Zion. But the debunking process is gone now. No non-right-wing information is allowed to be used to debunk right-wing information. So if conservatives self-confirm something as fact in their closed-circuit media world, it's fact to them. We should have known we had lost the capacity to debunk when this happened.
They're going to be saying, no, you can't give this person a hip replacement. They're too old. This will be done by this federal board, which is really the death panel that Sarah Palin was talking about.
The death panels, yes, back in the news again.
He warned Americans about so-called death panels. Those death panels, which created a big controversy.
There weren't death panels in health reform. Democrats, in fact, accepted a Republican-proposed idea to promote living wills, where people say what they want their own end-of-life care to be. That is not a death panel. There are no death panels. There never were. But in the alternate self-contained right-wing media universe, death panels are real. In that world, it's true. They've confirmed it with each other, and it is therefore unquestionable. The reason this is more than just funny or sad is that when people who are informed by their time in the alternate self-contained right-wing media universe, when those people move on in life, sometimes what they're moving on to is getting control of parts of the government.
I'm very concerned about the international move they're making, particularly the question that there was about moving the United States off of the dollar and onto a global currency. Between 1942 and 1947, the data that was collected by the Census Bureau was handed over to the FBI and other organizations at the request of President Roosevelt, and that's how the Japanese were rounded up and put into the internment camps. I'm not saying that that's what the administration is planning to do, but I am saying that private personal information that was given to the Census Bureau in the 1940s was used against Americans to round them up.
Did you hear that the census is being used as a tool by the Obama administration to round up conservatives and put them in internment camps just like the Japanese in 1940? I totally heard that. Now the census is over, so you may be watching this from a conservative internment camp right now. If you are, I apologize for any offense. But the idea that the U.S. Census, mandated by the Constitution, is a thinly veiled conspiracy to round us all up and put us in internment camps, the idea that Barack Obama has a dastardly plot to eliminate the dollar and create a one-world currency, those things aren't just stupid, they're true on the political right. And because she is undebunkable in today's media world, Michele Bachmann is now vying to become the #4 Republican in the leadership of the United States House of Representatives. Things that are true only in self-contained right-wing media world are leaking out into real politics.
At a recent rally, Nevada Senate candidate Sharron Angle said, quote, Dearborn, Michigan and Frankfort, Texas are on American soil and under constitutional law, not Sharia law, and I don't know how that happened in the United States. It seems to me there is something fundamentally wrong with allowing a foreign system of law to even take hold in any municipality or government situation in our United States, end quote.
Sharia law has not, in fact, supplanted the United States Constitution anywhere in the United States. When confronted with that truth, candidate Sharron Angle's response was not to withdraw the claim, but to explain why she believed it, which is good enough for her.
Did you say, though, that Sharia law was in place in Dearborn right now?
I had read that in one place that they had started using some Sharia law there. That's what I had read.
I have no doubt that you have, in fact, read that, Sharron Angle. If you have been reading around in conservative media world recently, you have read a lot of stuff like that. And because that media world is now so big and so well-funded that it is self-contained and self-sustaining, there is no debunking of this stuff anymore. It just becomes true by dint of mutual conservative reinforcement and repetition.
Their mission is to blur or completely erase the borders between Canada, U.S., and Mexico to get goods and services freely flowing between all three countries in the dream of one big happy Mex-Americanada.
I guarantee you it's one of their long-term goals to have, one sort of borderless mass continent.
American scientific companies are crossbreeding humans and animals and coming up with mice with fully functioning human brains.
You want to know what happened in Laredo? Did you hear what happened in Laredo? Oh my God. A Mexican drug gang called the Zetas. The Zetas rampaged over the border and took over 2 ranches in Laredo, Texas. American ranches now being run right now by a Mexican drug gang. Mexican drug gangs have officially breached the border. The invasion from Mexico has begun. Did you hear about it? Did you hear about it? If you live in right-wingville in this country, then I'm sure you have heard all about it. None of it is true. None of those things actually happened. Talk to you guys.
Thanks, Lisa confirmed Eric Holder, and we disagree with that.
She what?
Voted to confirm Eric Holder.
And why are you against that?
Because
he's
we're
the most
all
anti-gun attorney general this country has ever had.
What's he done on guns that you're upset about, though? Just so
I honestly, I don't know enough about him to answer that truthfully, Rachel.
Can I just ask why are you upset about Eric Holder?
Because he's anti-gun.
What has he done that's anti-gun?
I don't have all the facts, but I know that he is anti-gun.
A little baby with ink on their foot, stamped right there on the birth certificate. There's one in this country we haven't seen.
Get it? Barack Hussein Obama. Haven't seen that birth certificate yet with the little feet. Again, for the record, Barack Obama was born in Hawaii. Eric Holder hasn't done anything against gun rights. Mexican drug gangs are not seizing ranches in Texas. Mice with human brains. That one, actually, I take a pass. I can't disprove that. But Mex-Americanada, I can say with confidence, not actually happening. This is not just about gullible people believing untrue things. It is about what's new in America about gullible people believing untrue things. There is a closed-circuit, giant, super well-funded conservative media machine that not only promotes this stuff when it is politically convenient, but they reinforce it and validate it and fend off any ability to debunk this stuff. So things that would have been disprovable myths in times past in America now become conservative truths. Things that can be easily disproven outside of conservative America can never be disproven if you live in their closed-circuit world on the right. The other thing that's new is what happened on Tuesday night. Politicians who are a product of this media culture, who raise their money for their campaigns on Fox News. The undebunkable faith-based fact horde is going to Washington. And as they get there, that becomes itself another means of validating these politically convenient, made-up things. They now put the prestige of the U.S. government, the portion of it that they control at least, behind all of this made-up stuff. Their new positions of power help to validate all of these otherwise totally disprovable things.
I keep reading that Obama keeps bringing small quantities of Muslims into this country. Why can't Congress stop that?
Congressman Steve King of Iowa in this case. You get asked that question by a constituent. You have not heard that specific conspiracy theory about Obama and the tiny quantities of Muslims he keeps sneaking into the nation. What do you say when confronted with this question? Here's the difference between you and the new Republican Congress. This is how Republican Congressman Steve King chose to respond to that thing he'd never heard before.
I keep reading that Obama keeps bringing small quantities of Muslims into this country. Why can't Congress stop that?
I don't know what the basis is of that. I wouldn't be surprised that is a real factual basis.
To be clear, Steve King, a serving member of Congress, has never heard that crazy story before. He doesn't know it to be true. It has never crossed his mind before. But there he is telling a member of the public that, I wouldn't be surprised. It very well might be true. Because, sounds good. So now Obama has tiny quantities of Muslims on him at all times, and he's taking 34 warships with him to India, and these things cannot be disproven. There is no debunking process anymore. If you do not live in right-wing land and you agree that those things have been debunked, if that's not your reality, how do you ever talk to those people?